If we can talk for a minute about what I would consider a massive success for Dragonflight. Okay, so this is usually what we do for those of you that don't know. At the start, I'll usually have a topic that we discuss as we wait for people to filter in, ask their questions, join the voice channel and so forth. So if you would permit me a couple of seconds to talk about this, what does a successful Dragonflight look like to me? Now, many people will say that this is the one. Blizzard has to deliver. They have to knock it out of the park. This has to be 300% better than anything they've done before. If it's not, it's a fail. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's even possible. I think all Dragonflight needs to be is decent. It needs to be solid. It needs to deliver on all the promises that they made. And you know what? Sure, if there's a couple of surprises here and there, not the biggest issue. Obviously, that's going to be nice. But I'm not looking for the expansion that kills all other games. I'm not looking for the expansion that recrowns World of Warcraft as the greatest MMO. That's a tough hill, right? That's a steep hill to climb. Blizzard isn't going to be able to do that with one expansion. It's going to take some time. I'm looking for solid, good, clean fun. If they can deliver on that, and it seems like they can, I think Dragonflight is going to be a major success. So yes, in that regard, maybe you're right. Maybe the news cycle at the moment is perfect. You know, we got a lot of new things when the alpha first came out, as you would expect. And now it's just sort of, well, here's the game, taste it. But do you guys think that there is a chance that this is the expansion? Like, everything we've seen so far, that's it. So that's why there's no massive new spoiler things over on Wowhead. That's why there's no massive new systems being announced or discovered. Because that really is it. This is it. This is what they have. If it is, I think it's good enough. I do think it's good enough. Because it provides a good foundation, a rock solid starting point. This means that 10.1 can build on the foundations of 10.0 without overpromising, because the problem, if Blizzard goes balls to the wall in 10.0, remember, everything has to then be updated in 10.1, which isn't what happens in World of Warcraft. We've seen this time and time again. In Shadowlands, same thing happened. They have all these systems that they announce, right? They have conduits, they have covenants, they have Torghast, they have legendaries. They have all these systems. Then 9.1 comes out, and half of those systems are forgotten. Like, half of those systems they don't touch again because they don't have time to. So they just sort of maybe one or two more legendaries. You know, I don't think we even got new legendaries. Nothing new in conduits. A couple of new quests for the covenants, and that's it, right? Because they have so much shit that they have to design for that they can't get everything done. I think the Dragonflight scope is a hell of a lot better. It's a small scope, sure, right? It is small, but maybe small is good. Perhaps small is exactly what we need. Perhaps the biggest issue that World of Warcraft have had for the last 6 years is that Blizzard kept trying to go knockout punch, right? And the way I like to look at it is almost this, in boxing, they speak about this quite often. So in boxing, you'll get two types of fighters. You'll get the fighter that, you know, he's boxing. He's using the ring well. He's using his jab. He's basically boxing for points, right? He keeps landing those jabs, 1-2, 1-2, get in, get out. And then you have this other puncher that, due to stress and due to anxiety, isn't jabbing at all. Like, they're not moving at all. They're looking for that one punch. They're not throwing any punches. They're not throwing any jabs. They're not setting anything up. They are waiting for that one knockout punch. Usually that's the fighter that loses, because while they're waiting for that one fucking knockout punch, the other puncher is jabbing them to shit, right? And every single one of those jabs, while small, does enough damage. This is sort of what Blizzard have been for the last 6 years. Legion was an absolute glorified success, right? Everyone fucking loved Legion. BFA came around and it could not live up to what Legion did. It was just terrible in response to Legion. So Blizzard keeps trying. Then comes Shadowlands, and now they're really digging in, right? They have to make this work. This is the one. They promise more systems, more things, more fucking borrowed power. And all of it fails once again. It's that boxer that's just waiting for that one punch. They just need one system that's going to get it through, right? They just need that one thing that's going to get people in. Maybe Dragonflight is a good change of pace. Rather than saying, right, we've got this one thing that's going to blow everyone away. It's more like, no, we don't actually have anything. We just have a good world. We have solid activities within this world. And that's it, right? That's it. We hope that the world is good enough that people actually want to play in it. I'm going to be honest with you. That's what I used to love about WoW. Like, no lie. My favorite times in World of Warcraft were those times running around in Icecrown or in Stormheim, right? Or in Dragonblight, or doing the Fireland dailies. Those were my favorite fucking times. The Argent Crusade and its dailies. Those were good times. Why? I really enjoyed the world. The world felt alive. It felt amazing. There was always something new to discover, something new to do, someone to interact with. I haven't felt that level of love, that level of, like, I really want to be in this world. I would argue probably since Cataclysm. Now, Mists of Pandaria, I've heard from a lot of people were exactly the same, and I'll take your word for it. I didn't really play a lot of Mists of Pandaria. But I haven't felt that since Cataclysm, you know, where I want to be in this world. I want to be a part of this world. Since Cataclysm, I swapped to basically being a raider only. And I did enjoy the raids in Warlords of Draenor. Love the raids in Legion. Even enjoyed some of the raids in BFA right at the start until I got bored with those as well. But in Legion, I didn't enjoy the world. I enjoyed the raids. Because that's all I fucking did. The world couldn't give two fucks, right? It was just chore lists. Whereas now, maybe this is the change we've been hoping for, you know? And Kimmy, no, it's not since my raid fell apart. I've fallen in love or out of love with World of Warcraft long before my raid died. I still loved raiding in World of Warcraft long after I no longer enjoyed WoW. Like, there was a good, I would say, the majority of Legion. I logged into World of Warcraft purely because I enjoyed the raids, not because I liked anything else. Like, I could have done with everything being lost from Legion and just the raids, and that would have been happy days for me. Feels like a lost bit of interesting lore to expand on, in my opinion. I wouldn't say that. I think World of Warcraft still has a shit ton of good lore. Dragonflight definitely does have good lore, and there's a lot to unpack in Dragonflight, but I wouldn't say that Dragonflight is like the lost bit of good lore. There's still shit tons of lore that we have not even touched. There's so much with the Titans, so much with the Titan Keepers. Now, a lot of that probably will come out in Dragonflight because they are sort of very much intertwined. But there's still a lot with the Void, the cultists on Azeroth, the Light, the Scarlet Crusade. You still have a lot of Alliance stuff that has to be dealt with at some point. So there's like a shit ton of lore in World of Warcraft that, as of now, still lies completely unexplored. That they could absolutely dive into. I think Dragonflight, what makes Dragonflight good is that it is sort of like a soft reset and a soft WoW 2 launch. Like, it's the soft launch for World of Warcraft 2 in many ways. And I've been thinking about this a lot, and I genuinely believe that Dragonflight is the start of World of Warcraft 2. Much like World of Warcraft Vanilla was the start of WoW 1, Dragonflight is the start of WoW 2. They're not calling it WoW 2, and it's never going to have the label of WoW 2, but it is WoW 2. Think about it. Everything is new. We're getting new classes. Yes, I know the classes still have technically the same names as the old ones, but new talent trees for all of the classes. The classes are probably going to be changing in the way they play, the way they feel, all the rest of it. We get a brand new world that is part of the old world, but a region of the story that we have almost never really explored, that can take the game in a whole new direction if they want to. We've said goodbye to a lot of the main staple characters of World of Warcraft, and we're going to be introduced to new characters now that can probably take the story forward. So in many ways, this is sort of that soft reset to say, okay, you know what, let's be done with everything that we used to do, with everything that we've done up until now. Let's see what we can do moving forward. Because, I mean, Denuzer said it himself, right? Denuzer said that Shadowlands is the end of the first chapter of World of Warcraft. So, technically speaking, Dragonflight is the first, what would you call this? Dragonflight would be the first paragraph of chapter 2 of World of Warcraft, right? But that is still a new chapter. It is a new sort of a new world out there, if you will. And I think that's good. I think World of Warcraft needed this. A reset is probably a good idea. I wonder if Ian is going to stick around. I think that would be my biggest question. Does Ian stick around after this? Dominic, we don't know how many chapters there are. We know that Shadowlands ends the first chapter of World of Warcraft, but obviously we have no idea how many chapters there's going to be. We know that at least 2, because Dragonflight is the start of the second chapter. So there's at least 2. I don't know if Ian will stick around though, especially when when you've overseen the end of the era, right? And it's an era that you were a part of for much of it. You were a part of that era. Maybe now is the time to sort of embrace the change and go a new direction, especially since World of Warcraft will, in the very near future, probably face the biggest uphill battle of their lives. If you think that this last year have been wild with Shadowlands and Final Fantasy, having it out, and Final Fantasy really taking the crown when it comes to being the top MMO, things aren't getting easier for World of Warcraft from this moment forward. We have next year, we have Ashes of Creation, most likely. We have the Riot MMO at some point being a thing. Star Wars The Old Republic apparently there's some announcements coming for Star Wars The Old Republic, some kind of rework maybe in the cards there. You have Guild Wars that have said that they want to reinvigorate themselves. You have Lord of the Rings Online that might want to start reintroducing some stuff there. So there's a lot of movements right now within the MMO space that is going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on World of Warcraft. And even if you remove all of the other games, Riot's MMO is probably the scariest thing for Blizzard Entertainment. Because if there has ever been a game with more recognition than World of Warcraft, it's League of Legends. There are far more people that know exactly what League of Legends is than there are that knows what World of Warcraft is. Far more, okay? Part of the success of World of Warcraft was the recognition that Warcraft had at the time. Many people played Warcraft, and so they were happy to try World of Warcraft, this new MMO set in a world that they know. The Riot MMO is set in the League of Legends universe, which means that there are millions of people, right, that know this world that might be willing to try it out as an MMO. So I do think Blizzard's got their fucking work cut out for them, because they're gonna have to compete against this MMO. And then of course you have Ashes of Creation, which people are super hyped for, myself included. So there's definitely a lot that Blizzard will have to do. And Dragonflight really is the first step in this sort of road to recovery. If they can pull it off, fucking A. It's steep though. It's gonna be a steep fucking climb. That's really my 2 cents on the matter. Right, MMO is the biggest unknown in the market right now. Would we call it an unknown though? Like, would you be happy calling it an unknown? Devanir, yeah, probably. I don't expect the Riot MMO to be a thing until 2025, maybe even 2026. So you might be right. There might be at least one more expansion before Riot's MMO really solidifies itself. But that still means next year you have Ashes of Creation, which I don't think Ashes of Creation is going to be that big of a threat for World of Warcraft, but I could be wrong, right? I don't think the people that like World of Warcraft is necessarily going to like Ashes of Creation. Not that I don't think Ashes of Creation is going to be an amazing game and I'm going to be playing the shit out of it. No, I am, and I do. But I think the people that like WoW won't automatically like Ashes of Creation. It's a very different type of game to what most people probably care to play, if I'm honest. I would not be surprised if after Dragonflight they change the area you go to after Exile's Reach to be the Dragon Isles, just bypass all of the old story. They probably should. I think they should, Nico Spider. I wouldn't have a problem with that. The thing is, Shadowlands was the end of the World of Warcraft Era 1. Dragonflight is the start of World of Warcraft Era 2. I think they should let new players start in Dragonflight, experience that story, because that story is what's going to be important for the future, right? So yeah, I'd be okay with that. I would not mind that at all.